My husband passed away nearly 5 years ago. It really took me a few years to accept the fact that he's gone. But the day I accepted, I realized that, I have this life in which he is not supposed to be around me. So this new life is can become whatever I want it to be. And in this new life, I can laugh, I can dream while carrying his love, his memories with me into my new chapter of life. See, in this new chapter, I'm not forgetting him. I'm cherishing his memory along with being this new version of myself. And I am always going to remember him and honor him in whatever way I like. Because that's a personal thing. No one is going to change that.
I absolutely love our topic today because it's something that I think everybody goes through and our society doesn't love to talk about it. We're wonderful at celebrating life, the beginning of life,
Yeah,
celebrations and
exactly.
stuff. But when somebody passes away, it's kind of like, uh-oh, now what? Right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
how
exactly.
did you become a grief counselor or a grief coach? How did that come into play?
Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Bettina, for having me here. And it's a
it's my
pleasure to
joy.
be able to share my journey with you. And yes, according to your question about how I became a grief coach, so I am an entrepreneur whose life took a transformative turn following the death of my husband 4 years ago. And this deeply personal loss, it ignited a passion within me to help others navigate the complexities of grief, leading me to become a grief coach. And my journey has definitely been profound and one which had a lot of growth and learning for me. And as I pursued to understand not only my pain, but also how I could support others in finding renewed purpose and meaning in their lives after loss.
What we learn through the journey of our pain really allows us to learn so much to give to others, right? So, what
Yes.
have you learned on this journey that when you share with others that has allowed you to help others navigate their grief?
Okay. First of all, I have to say, Bettina, that grief is a universal experience, yet it can feel so isolating. Because
Mm,
when we are going through grief, through loss, the first emotion that we find ourselves in is that no one understands, no one knows. And the fact of the matter is, well, grief is a unique experience for everyone. What one person is feeling, having gone through the same tragic incident, like if a family goes through a tragic incident, every family member is going to process or feel grief in their own way, in a different way. So that
hmm
really, like, firstly, brings the feelings of isolation that, there's no one who's going through a similar process, which, in a way, no one is not. But the thing is that what I have found that, I mean, I myself was one to think that, there is no one, there's nothing out there which can help me, and there is no one who will understand me. And that, what it led me to, my own suffering, till it started taking a toll on my health, on my mental and physical health. And this is exactly
Yeah.
what happens with people who are going through grief and they're not able to channel their grief. They're not able to talk about it. So, what I found on my journey is that, well, the human society is based on human connection, which is a beautiful concept. So, we have to be able to reach out to people. We have to have support systems. We have to have people we can talk to, we can share our burden with, and that's absolutely okay. But when we feel ready, because this is a process that cannot be rushed. We cannot, it's not a race like, we have to like run to the finish line to feel okay. No, it's not that. It's never going
Yeah.
to be that, because everyone's process, everyone's journey, everyone's relationship with grief is always going to be unique. So we just have to give it time to everyone, hold space. If I am the one grieving, I need to allow myself to grieve, hold space, connect with my emotions. If someone else around me, someone dear to me, is grieving, I need to hold space for them and let them grieve, right? And I need to honor whatever they're going through. Yeah.
So what do you mean hold space? That's I hear this term a lot more now than we used to, right? That this concept of hold space. what does that mean, hold space? It's a it sounds like it's a physical action, but it's not something we do physically necessarily. What do you mean when you say hold space?
Okay. You have asked a beautiful question, Matina. So the thing is that by holding space, well, it's actually not a physical space. It's not that we're drawing a circle around someone. No, it's not that. But holding space means allowing, if it's me I'm talking about, I need to be able to have time, the opportunity, the resources to be with my emotions. That is me holding space for myself. And likewise, if it's someone else, some other person who's maybe a friend or a family member or someone I know, if I'm holding space for them, I am letting them be comfortable with their emotions. I am letting them just be as they want to be. This is
So what
me
does that
holding
look
space
like?
for
So
them.
you mentioned time and resources, right? Like
Yeah.
okay, let's just say my friend loses her husband, okay?
Okay.
Out of the blue. This is a shocking thing that happened. How can I support
Yeah.
this person? And resources, okay, I get time. So what does time look like? So I give them time. So am I allowing them to be there? Like okay, so time, am I sitting with them? How do we navigate this? Because I think a lot of people, they don't know what to do, so they do nothing. Do we call? Do we not call? Do we send a text? We don't know how to support the other person. And if we ask them, how can we support you? A lot of times they're like, I don't even know, because I'm so overwhelmed with an unknown, unexperienced emotion.
Yeah. Okay. So I am so glad, Bettina, you're asking these questions because the person who's grieving, well, that's one thing. But the people around them, they really need to be educated in all these things. They really need to know all these things. And I'm so glad that you're asking all these lovely questions. So, Bettina, if someone around you is grieving, like in this case, in this example, you have mentioned that if it's someone has lost their husband. So the thing is that, first of all, when I talked about holding space for them, let them grieve in the way they want, right? Now the initial response, what will it be? It will be that they will feel isolated and they will not want to be with people, not want to, I don't know, talk about their experience and all that. So what you can do, or any other person around them can do, is just let them know that you are there, right? Oftentimes what we do is we say, I'm just a phone call away. But then that phone call never happens because that person never reaches out. We wait them, oh, when they'll feel better, they'll get in touch. They are never at that point because they're grieving. They're so much down with grief. They never pick up the phone and say, hey, you said you were just a phone call away, so come and do this for me. This usually never happens. So what we can
Right.
do is we can keep on checking on them. Like time and again, maybe that phone call that we promised, that needs to be made. Or maybe, just drop by and let them know that you're just there. Because you know what will happen? In time, they will realize that, this person is there. I can share my load with them. I can talk to them. Because sometimes people just need a shoulder to cry on. Sometimes they just need someone to listen without judgment, without giving any advice.
Without judgment, without advice, without expectations. So
Yeah,
let's say my friend, I need to call, reach out once a week, every few days, and if they don't answer, don't be offended, don't judge, right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Just
Absolutely.
be available if they happen
Exactly.
to throw a ball in your direction. Be ready to catch and be ready
Right.
to be there. So let's say, because time, when you allow somebody to grieve and hold space, and sometimes there's they pull away and there's that disconnect, right? Is it how, and then you touch base again, is it appropriate to say, how do you bring up, hey, how are you doing now? And get into that. Do you just say, hey, how are you? Or what kind of how does that support a month, 2 months down the road? go? What does that look like?
Okay. So, well, it's a very good, the sentence is very good. How are you to start a conversation? But Bettina, after that, it's on us to be able to listen deeply, to listen to them, let them speak, let us know, let them know where they are in their journey. Like, are they
Mm,
ready for long conversations, or are they just giving you one word answers? So,
mm.
and we should not be pushy, never ever, never ever. Because what we have to do here is that we have to validate their emotions. This is extremely important. Rather than,
Mm,
dismissing them or trying to be very cheerful or chatty, excuse me, when we can clearly see that they're not in the mood. Maybe they're ready. Maybe they're very chatty. They're ready to open up. They're ready to talk about their experience. They're ready to talk about what they went through. They're ready to talk about how they felt, everything. And maybe they will in time, but it's for them, when they are ready. So we need to
so as
allow them silence. Yeah, yeah.
no, no, keep going. So we need to allow them that. So I guess
We
as a
need to
grief
allow the
coach,
silence.
mm,
Sorry.
silence. Ah, allow
Yeah,
silence.
yeah.
That's
Allow
hard
silence
because it can be
instead
uncomfortable.
of yeah, trying to fill it with our words. By silence
Mm,
I mean trying not to fill it with our words, because they're the ones grieving. It's their journey, so we need to honor that whatever stage they're in, whenever they feel comfortable. See, it's about them. I mean, I understand your gesture. I mean, I truly do. I deeply admire your desire to, go there and, maybe think that, your friend starts acting like the person she was. Because, let me tell you one other thing, Bettina, because grief
yeah.
changes everyone. It does. They can no longer be the same person, never ever they were when their loved one was around them. It definitely changes them emotionally, mentally, and sometimes physically also. So these are the things that we
Mm,
need to be mindful of. And then, of course, letting them know that we are there for supporting them whenever they're ready, whenever they feel like reaching out. Because, all of this is an act of love and empathy, offering this grieving person the freedom to express themselves authentically without the fear of judgment and without the pressure of, bringing them into a certain timeline, which we think that, oh, so many months have passed, she should be over it now.
mm.
No, no. Their
There's not
journey.
a book for
Sometimes people take
this.
years, sometimes it's a lifetime. Yeah.
So, as a grief coach, like, how do you help somebody move forward with and after this change, after the impact of this grief, especially as severe as losing a child, losing a husband, losing, because these are people, I think like losing a child. Yeah, as a parent, you don't ever think you're going to outlive your children. Um,
Yeah.
you're going to out one of you is going to outlive your spouse. There's a, 50-50, right? And if it happens
Yeah.
young, that's tough because you're planning on growing old together, right? And some folks who are very close to parents, I know that's really hard as well. So, how do you help folks as a grief coach?
Okay. 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 Bettina, the thing is that whenever you lose a loved one, like all of these people you have mentioned, whether it's a spouse, it's a parent, it's a sibling, it's a child, yeah. All of these, losing any of these people, it really hits hard. And the thing that happens after that, because, with deaths, we or anyone else, we have no control. I mean, we can't stop it. When someone's time is
Mhm.
over, well, they have to leave the world and that's it.
And
But
we
the
all
thing is
die.
that, all,
It happens.
absolutely. But yeah, absolutely. But the thing is that we can never prepare our mind to accept it, that, this is going to happen. So when
Mm,
this happens, what's the first thing that hits us is that, life is no longer the same, because it isn't. It isn't. The
hmm.
reality changes,
Yeah.
right? And then we feel ourselves losing purpose, losing the will to go
That's
on,
hard.
especially in the case of a child, especially in the case of a spouse, because we feel that, that they're such an integral part of our life. And when that person
Yeah.
is gone, like, they vanish from the face of the earth, we feel that, what's the purpose of why am I living? Why did it happen to me? So what's the purpose of my life now? How can I keep going on? This is the
Yeah.
problem that people find themselves in, and then they kind of feel helpless.
We need a
Very true.
purpose, right?
Exactly.
And being out of control. Those are just
Yeah. So my work
how
is
do you
around.
help somebody
Yeah,
regain that and gain purpose
exactly.
and feel like they have a semblance of control?
Exactly. Because Bettina, it's human nature that we most of the times we think that we are in control, right? We like to think that we are in control of our life. Yeah. But
And then
what
we're
the
like,
actual
oh,
thing
God
is.
has a sense of humor.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how we are. That's how we think. We like to think that we're in control of our life, but well, so many things in our life, they're beyond our control. And losing someone to death is of course one of those things. So to bring back that control, just like you mentioned, it's very important that we have a purpose. And my work is specifically around helping people find renewed purpose in life because
Mhm.
without a purpose, they're going to have a lot of trouble moving on, a lot of trouble moving
Um,
forward, a lot of trouble in channeling their grief. And now, what that purpose would be, that purpose would start from connecting with their self. How? Prioritizing self care, prioritizing themselves, putting themselves first, right? Because when they start doing that, once they start thinking that I am important, I am living, I have a life, and this life is a gift to me, that I have to, this is something that I should nourish, this is something that I should look after. And when I'm going to connect with my own self, with my own emotions, then I am going to connect with something that drives me. That, or maybe at some point in my life, it used to ignite my passion. Something that, something was, I don't know, my interest, but I left doing it. Maybe I'm able to connect with that if I try to
mm.
connect with myself in search of a purpose. And trust
So you
me, I have seen
rechannel the
people.
purpose. So you
Yeah,
rechannel. It's like
exactly.
what else? So
Exactly.
you like
Exactly.
what did you used to interest you, or what have interested you but you didn't pursue, I guess, as
Okay.
well. So how do you how do like in that conversation, how do you as a grief coach help somebody like s- recognize that they need to take the action of self-care, to find that purpose, to do the things, to get up and do, and because they probably know, but it's just like the energy is just gone. How do you help them do that?
Yeah. Okay. So, but the thing is that we as human beings, no matter how sad we are, how gloomy or down we are, I mean, how much struck with grief we are, everybody would like to have a chance at happiness. That's one other observation that I've had, right? So
I love that.
when I ask
Everybody
people,
wants a chance at happiness.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So this is whenever this is like when people at the point when people reach me, they're already aware that they're in a certain situation and they need to do something about it. So this awareness is the first step. That I am so down with my grief that I am not able to function properly. So I need to maybe get in touch with this person, or maybe someone referred them to me. This is how they reach me.
Mhm.
So by the time they come, they already have this thought that okay, let's talk to her, see what happens. So this is a conscious effort, that it will always be a conscious effort, right? You will have to do
Right.
for yourself, because this is something that you need to do to make your life better, to make you feel better. So what happens is that when I start talking to them and we start talking about their interests, their passions, their life, what was and what is, and okay, let's not maybe talk about the future too much today, but okay, what was and what is, right? And when
Mm.
they tap onto the subjects which used to give them joy, they feel good. They instantly start feeling good. They instantly have that flicker of joy. Oh, when I was At this age, I used to write books, I used to write poetry. That was really nice, but I've stopped doing that. Something like this is just a random
Mm,
example,
yeah.
you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When they feel momentary joy, that's the realization they can realize if they're open to receiving the idea that oh, maybe if I start doing it again, I will feel better. Because you know what, grief is an emotion. It's not going to go away. So what we are going to do in parallel, we are going to set up again consciously some other emotions with some activities that are going to give us joy, that are going to give us
Mm.
feel better, be it momentary, right, be it short lived. One other
So I
thing that
love
I
that.
use is
So you find out what gives them the glimmer of hope, and then help them to find a plan, do a plan that gives them those joy. How
exactly,
often do people
exactly,
feel
absolutely.
guilty? Like they struggle because they have that guilt. Like, oh, maybe I feel guilty for feeling joy. How do you help somebody get past that guilt of being happy, for being joyful, for having joy of life? Just
Okay.
curious.
Now this is another beautiful question you have asked, Bettina. I'm so glad you're asking all the lovely questions today. Okay. So the thing is that this is very common. Yeah, this is very common. What you have just said, that people definitely feel guilty. I mean, I had this guilt for the longest time. Even if I was laughing at something and I was like, oh, am I laughing? Am I allowed to? Am I allowed to be happy? And I have been through the same thing. But you know what? Here, one thing that really comes into play is that you have to accept that this is a new reality. You have to start by accepting, because this is the reality in which you are here and that person is not here by none of your actions. You did nothing to make him not be in your life.
Okay, so we accept it. They're not here. I'm here, right? That reality has set in. You have that chuckle. You all of a sudden you laugh and you're like, oh gosh, I'm laughing. How do we give ourselves permission to enjoy that laugh?
Again, this is a conscious effort that I'm going to do and that I did with myself, because first I used to feel guilty. Then there came a time when, uh, as I said, it starts with accepting. When the moment I accepted that, and it took me years to accept. My husband passed away nearly 5 years ago. It really took me a few years to accept the fact that he's gone. But the day I accepted, I realized that, I have this life in which he is not supposed to be around me. So this new life is can become whatever I want it to be. And in this new life, I can laugh, I can dream while carrying his love, his memories with me into my new chapter of life. See, in this new chapter, I'm not forgetting him. I'm cherishing his memory along with being this new version of myself. And I am always going to remember him and honor him in whatever way I like, because that's a personal thing. No one is going to change that. So,
So how do you
but
do that?
with
Like
that,
like folks I can see are going to struggle, like he passed away. How long, why, what was it that we're accepting that took us so long to accept? Like, we know he's not here. Like, our conscious understands he's passed away, he's not coming back. Like, that's the reality of it, right? And when we're like,
yeah.
what, like, what does that mean, that acceptance?
So, Bettina, when we talk about understanding, it's about understanding two realities. Like, one is that he has gone away, no longer part of our lives. But, what we find difficult to accept is, in the context of acceptance, is the version of us that existed with him. This is why people struggle so much, because when that person was around, I was someone else. And I'm not that person anymore. So I miss that also. I grieve that also. And it's hard for me to accept that I can't be that version of myself because, well, he's not around. So who am I now? This is what people feel often, because then they feel, oh, what's my new identity? Like if I was a person's wife, he died, so who am I now? And this is
Mm.
why find it so hard to accept the new reality. But what can help in this? Mindfulness, bringing your attention to the now, thinking of the present. Because most of the times people are grieving about events that happened in the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
What the future has in store, no one knows. We can only plan for it, wish for it. But what we have is the present. So what I can do is be mindful, bring my focus to today, in this moment, just this moment. Like this is the moment. It's a perfect moment because I had to show up for your podcast. I am here, you're here, we're having a wonderful time, and that's it. This is a perfect moment. So what happened before this? I can maybe not think about it. What I'm going to do after that, well, let's see when it comes to that. So this is just a
Right.
little example that I'm
So be
giving.
in
But
the joy of the moment and
exactly,
who you
in the
are
moment,
in this
in the
moment
moment.
and
Exactly.
recognize that
And
who we are in this moment, we're
exactly,
in this
exactly,
relationship and
exactly,
we're able to move forward in our relation to the universe without
exactly,
us being the wife, that we do have a
exactly.
purpose outside of being the wife or outside of being the mom. I'm guessing that this is similar to the when you think of empty nesters, right? Like people who've moms who spent their entire lives giving their life to their children and then all of a sudden their children go off and have their own life. Now,
Yeah, yeah,
the grief is the grief is not it almost be it seems sounds very selfish, like it's that identity of self is what we're grieving because before
exactly,
we oh,
exactly,
it's coming to me,
absolutely.
it's coming to me because it was, yes, we're sad that the person's gone, but we're grieving who we were in relation to that person.
Exactly, exactly,
And then having
absolutely.
to figure
And
out, you're a good coach, you're good at this, so having to figure out who we
thank you,
are
thank you so
without
much.
the other person.
Exactly, exactly. Because
And
you
this
know,
isn't
well, let's face it, Bettina, we owe this to ourselves. Everyone, all of us, we owe this to ourselves to figure this out for ourselves, for our own good, for a betterment, to have a better life. Why not?
why not? So did I understand you correctly? I'm sorry it took you 45 minutes for me to get it, but I'm thinking I get it now.
Okay, okay, I'm glad.
Well, if there was something else that you wish I would have asked, what what should I've asked that I didn't ask that you're like, man, I wish she would have asked this question. I wish, you know, I'd like, I think this is really important for folks to know that are going through the grieving process that when I visit with somebody, I ask them this question or I have them think this, and it's profound. It has a profound impact. What would that be?
Okay, so what I feel, Bettina, and I think this is a universal response for anyone and everyone, that I really wish that people know and acknowledge the value of prioritizing self care. Because you
Mm,
know, when people are grieving, when they're going through a tough time, they don't care about themselves. I've seen women dragging themselves and doing, I don't know, moving mountains and whatnot while they're grieving and not thinking about themselves, not
mm.
thinking about self care, putting self care in the back burner. And why? Because they're ignoring the fact that how important is this responsibility to themselves that they're ignoring, and this has detrimental effects in the long run. Because in the end, the
So,
things that you were busy in, the chores, the job tasks, the kids, everything else that you were managing, so I mean, trying to manage or doing your best, well, where were you in all this process? And by the time you realize, sometimes it's too late. All the time is gone. Your health has gone down, and well, I don't know. Maybe you're not in the best shape. So I really, really wish that people do realize how important self care is in every situation, in whatever stage of grief you are.
so back to holding space or taking the time, right?
Yeah,
To to recognize yourself and discover
Exactly.
your
Exactly.
identity and not losing
Exactly.
yourself, not
Exactly.
losing your identity, because I can totally see how when you don't do self care, that allows you to not have to deal with your loss of identity. Thank
Yeah.
you. I
It's a
appreciate you
pleasure. It's a
so
pleasure.
very much for your time
It's
today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bettina. Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure throughout.
Well, I appreciate you so much, and we cannot wait to see who this impacts. If anything, I know you were a huge impact on me and discovery, and I hope that others have this too. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you sharing, just being so just open. And what a beautiful discovery. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Bettina. It has been a pleasure. Thank you.